afternoon. My name is Kit Codik. I'm the CEO and founder of Liquor.com, and today I'm here with Mark Montgomery, the CEO of Fishbowl, Fishbowl Distilleries.
Fishbowl Spirits.
Fishbowl Spirits, which owns and runs
Blue Chair Bay Rum. Yes.
Rum. So, anyway, welcome. Nice to meet you here. Nice to meet another sort of fellow entrepreneur
yeah.
that's relatively new to the spirits industry.
Relatively would be very accurate,
yeah.
actually.
I guess I'm almost an industry veteran compared to you, and I've been at this for 4 to 5 years. So anyway, I've been coming to WSWA for the last 5 or 6 years, and I remember last year you did a big launch that got a lot of attention. Mm-hmm. Sounds like you launched the product here. You did a lot of alignment with your wholesalers and distributors that were on board early, but used that as a catalyst to drive a lot more engagement in Orlando. Mind telling me more about that? It sounded pretty exciting.
Well, I think our objective was to really show up with an A game and let people know we were here and we were intending to do some real business. And I think we threw a nice party, very reasonable.
Yeah.
The boss showed up, Kenny came, and we did some radio, we did a lot of sort of shake and howdy. He got to spend a lot of time with the partners we had lined up from a distributor perspective. We were also, I think, there to sort of solidify a couple of those deals that I think we felt like we really wanted them leaning in, and that we wanted them to recognize that we were not screwing around. And I think that really, the size and scope of that really put the exclamation point on Blue Chair Bay Rum is coming. Yeah.
And how did some of those partnerships help propel what sounds like an absolutely incredible first year of business?
Well, I mean, honestly, we couldn't do it without them. So inevitably, our job was to bottle up Kenny's vision, and it was their job to make sure that it was available everywhere we could make it available as quickly as possible. Mm-hmm. And so I think we felt like we were here to hear what they needed from us, to make sure that we were providing them everything we could that was reasonable, and from there to really then just do the job of executing. It had been a long road getting to that point, and so to get to that point felt, I think, really good. We were joking about it. It's really it's our birthday right now. We're kind of in that mode, and it's a little hard to believe. It feels like 5 years, not a year, and the progress we've made has just been really, in a way, it's been unprecedented, I think, in the business.
How many markets did you kick things off with in the first few months?
We opened just shy of 30 markets with the launch. Yeah. So we came out
very strong.
And we really came out against the tour. So he was out on the road, and we wanted to make sure we were there where he was. Mm-hmm. So that was the first sort of focus on the puzzle pieces. We wanted to make sure we had that covered. From there, I think we were of the mind that we would begin to fill the rest of it in. So by the end of the year, we were in 42 states.
Okay.
And as of really the end of this first quarter, we'll have all 50 states covered, plus USVI, plus Canada.
Wow, that's fantastic.
So it's been quite the run all the way to the market.
It sounds like it, and it sounds like you're really just kind of coming out of the gates. Got a lot of runway, and potentially a lot of growth in the next couple of years.
Well, we hope to grow considerably in the next couple of years.
Yeah. So Kenny's involved.
Very.
And it sounds like very, very involved. How has his involvement and sort of the structure you have differed from a lot of other sort of spirits that have a celebrity involved in the business in some way, shape, or form?
Well, I think in this particular case, Kenny put up all the money. So, when you look at sort of a traditional sponsorship relationship or a equity participation for access, this was a very different kind of deal. Kenny wanted it his way. He had very specific objectives, and he was very focused on delivering. And really, the simple premise of his whole idea was a rum he could drink with his friends. He wanted to build something for himself, and so the whole thing is built around sort of this very core vision of I want something I can be proud of that I can share with my friends. And I think you know this, right? The best ideals are the simplest. And I think he nailed it. And you don't get to that level that he's gotten to without knowing some very intrinsic things about people and about engaging consumers. And he's, I think, really dialed that in a way you find very rarely in the business.
And as a serial entrepreneur, you've sort of dove right in, head first, feet first, and you're CEO and running the company. And what things you've been able to bring to an industry that I understand you've never worked in the past, as an entrepreneur?
Well, I think it's like anything else. Those are that's the upside and the downside. The upside is that I have a fresh perspective. The downside is I lack institutional knowledge. So I think the mark of truly great CEOs is they recognize it's their job to be the dumbest guy in the room and to build a team around them that does know what you don't. And then you empower them to do that work. And so for us, it was about finding the absolute best team, everything from a supply chain perspective to the blocking and tackling stuff of actual pieces and parts, the bottles, all the components, the rum itself, all of that really required a skill that I didn't have. So we found those people and brought them in. I think the upside is we've taken a very data-centric approach to what we do. So part of what we're building is a pretty substantial set of data that supports not only what we're doing, but when you look at how, that old adage, I'm wasting 80% of my marketing dollars, I'm just not sure which 80%.
Right.
I'm trying to waste 20% of my marketing dollars because I know a lot about what's going on, and so we can pull a lever and we can watch that change. So when we get our depletion data, we can look and go, these things that we're doing are working. And as a result, we can apply them to other areas that have a very similar feel. They've got a certain concentration of consumers. That consumer has a certain disposition, and we're talking about down to the sort of the street level from a data perspective. So we're using census data and we're using other data sets.
Oh, interesting.
And we're overlaying that with digital data, touring data, ticketing data, radio, a lot of other components. And we're able to, I think, and we're still early because we're really only a year old.
Right.
But the data set that we're compiling is proving to be a very effective tool that I think when I first talked about it with our team, they were like, whoa, what do you mean data? I mean, it was like, guys, just trust me, we'll start.
Yeah.
And now our head of sales is putting it in all the presentations, and now our as a supplier, we're adding a lot of value to our distributor relationships because we're able to provide them with data that I think helps them do their job better.
Do you do a lot of digital engagement, digital marketing, social media marketing,
Tons.
things like that?
Yeah. So in the case of in the case of our brand, we're closing in on 100,000 direct consumers relationships related to email already. And we get about a 60% open rate.
Yeah.
So we've got and those are all geo-targeted. So as we look, for example, we're doing a summer tasting tour, and we're going into our top 10 markets and then the top 3 cities in each market. And so as we roll that out and as our Jeeps roll into town, we've got a week of radio before, we got a week of radio during, we got a week of radio after, very traditional sort of a spend, but we're also accenting that with the digital side. So when we're in that market, we're delivering messages that are targeted to that market. As opposed to talking to the whole audience, we talk to the markets we're going into. We've got a pretty advanced rum locator on the iPhone and for Android.
Yes, I've checked it out.
Well, we've got
You're in a lot of places too.
And we've got 30, I think almost 30,000 points of distribution already.
Okay, that's a lot.
It's crazy. And so that rum locator in the next version will allow us to go down to a level where our consumer will be able to report back to us. Hey, you know what? It said it was here. It's not here. Yeah. And they can, with 2 clicks, tell us that, and then we take that sales data and feed it right back into the sales team, and we're back in that marketplace quickly. Yeah. So we're trying to utilize what I think are the best of traditional marketing tactics combined with tactics that we know in the digital world work really well.
That's exciting. Definitely something I want to talk to you about offline.
Well,
It's very exciting. So one thing that I'd love to hear more about and I find really interesting is there are a lot of brands here that all have a story, right? And a lot of brands talk about the heritage and where they're made and how they're made. It sounds like you put a lot of thought, energy, and exploration behind getting to where this product is made and who is making it. I'd sort of love to hear a little bit more. I know you settled on a Barbados distillery that's
correct.
right off the beach, and sounds like a great place for a tour at some point.
Well, so the beauty of what Kenny did with us was he really gave us a lot of latitude to really make sure we had the right pieces of the puzzle. So inevitably, and putting it in a musical context, the juice is the hit song. And so we can wrap all kinds of stuff around the product. Mm-hmm. But if the product doesn't deliver, it doesn't matter because we get them once and they're gone.
Yeah.
And I think so our energies really were focused first on making sure that we had a hit song in the bottle. Mm-hmm. And I think when you taste the rum, that creates a connection that we think will drive repeat.
Yeah.
I don't think we see a lot of fall off there. And so that piece of the puzzle was honestly what I would consider to be a pretty good working vacation. We were sent down to the Caribbean, and we went to every distillery in the Caribbean.
Interesting.
And it really came down to, for us, a combination of a commitment to quality, an ability to produce, because we felt we would have a nice business on our hands, mm-hmm. and we wanted to make sure we weren't caught flat-footed, which inevitably we were, because we put up, I think, a pretty aggressive sales forecast our first year. Mm-hmm. We wanted to do 25,000 cases our first year.
Yeah.
We did that in the first 7 weeks.
Wow.
And so, most of the problem is demand, not supply. Ours was the opposite. It was like,
it's a great problem to have.
Yeah, well, crap.
Sure.
Here we are, and you don't just, that supply chain doesn't just produce another 30,000 cases of rum in 5 days. Mm-hmm. That's a 16-week, 18-week, 20-week process. And so we really had to throttle our supply early, mm-hmm. And really sort of in the peak selling season for rum. So we were really behind the 8 ball from the launch until recently. Mm-hmm. And I think one of our goals in 2014 was what I'll call in the supply, which we are now at. We now have enough supply to meet any demand, and we've gotten our processes down to the point where we're able to anticipate against our forecasts a lot better with a lot shorter lead times and a lot more efficient delivery.
And back to sort of the story and the authenticity of where it's being made, how with a celebrity like Kenny that can obviously drive a lot of awareness for something, when you're approaching accounts with your distributors, how important has that authenticity story been as you sell into specific accounts? Because I'm sure that you get their attention right away because Kenny's behind it and you're getting a lot of awareness, which is fantastic, but has that played a pretty significant role in helping you get especially into the on-premise?
I think the answer is yes, and I think but what's also happened is the reputation of the actual spirit precedes it. Yeah. So I think people are coming into those discussions very aware that we have a great liquor. And so to me, the Kenny component is icing on the cake. We were with all of our distributor partners in Kenny, and mm-hmm. we spent a couple hours with them, talking to them about where we are, where we're going, what we need from them, what they need from us. Mm-hmm. And it was an incredibly productive discussion, and I think when they see him showing up and being willing to do what it takes to make this business as successful as we want to make it, I think that provides them with a lot of confidence that this thing is moving in the right direction, and that it's not just him slapping his name on a label.
Yeah. And I understand you've got Jonathan Pogash on board as your sort of head mixologist.
Heading into our second year with Jonathan. He's great. We're incredibly happy with him. And he, to your earlier question, I mean, there is we've won multiple awards for the juice, so we clearly have a great product on our hands, and Jonathan brings us access to that really high-end mixologist crowd.
Right.
And at the same time, we built this product to be a premium business, but we also built it for every man. So we didn't want to price it out of the reach of average consumers.
Yeah. And has a cocktail-driven strategy been pretty important to you as you focus on higher end accounts?
I think it's really interesting. That when we came out of the gate, we were very high end on the mixology strategist, to the point where you had to go to an organic grocery.
Yeah.
To get the ingredients. It's like, I'm gonna mix a cocktail. I got to take a 2-hour trip to
juice some cilantro.
Find a fill in the blank. And so we still have those recipes in the arsenal, but we've dialed that back to a lot easier set of mixes. It just makes the life of the consumer a lot easier. The last thing we want to do is have them, forego us because it is a 2-hour trip to the organic grocery.
I think that's smart. It's great when you're on the menu with a complicated cocktail that's being executed from someone, but when someone goes home, a couple ingredients, they better be shelf, either shelf stable or easy to access.
Exactly.
So it sounds like it's been a phenomenal first year. What's next and what's on the horizon in your second year?
Well, so we've got this year. It's really for us about a couple of things. One, it's about expanding the total points of distribution. Obviously, we wanted to be in all 50 states, Canada, and USVI, which I think we've sort of checked that off the list. We're working on. We've got a new spirit coming this year, so we'll add a 4th SKU, so that'll give us 8 total on the shelf, and without tipping our hand too much, rum is a seasonal beverage and faces a little stiffer competition in the winter. So we might do something in the winter to address the potential for us losing a little ground from seasonality in a category that we think is pretty interesting.
Great. I look forward to learning more.
How's that? I did a good job. I didn't tip my hand. My PR lady's not
Our
going.
editorial team will get it out of you. Anyway, it's a pleasure to meet you, Mark. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. Thank
for
you
joining me today on WSWA TV. Thank you.